Yo, how's it going, chat? How are we doing? As you can see, we've got our little mascot here who's trying to murder me. Camera shy for today. How are we doing? That music's a little loud. Let's put it down a little. Luna, stop trying to murder me. Alright, so Luna's been having a really weird day today. She's been trying to destroy me. But, yeah, we've been working on this new layout for a little while, me and my son. What do you think? Mascot being chaos. This is a Luna channel? What do you mean this is Luna's channel? Wait, Luna. You wanna say hello? Baby, you wanna say hello? Stop trying to eat my face. Okay, there we go. You know, this is why they call me bald. You're removing the last hair I've got left. Yeah, she's just... How are we doing? Nah, Gears E-Day plays amazing, man. There was like no performance issues at all. None that I saw anyway. Yo, she heard a sneeze. Look at you. Look at you. No, I'm not bald. Her ambition is to make me bald, but it's not going to work. Rex tries to lick my goatee and nose clean off my face. Backlog Butler. Where is Power Boss anyway? Okay, she wants to go down. Alright. Let's put you down. There you go. Oh, this is the Luna channel now? No. No. Oh, man. So, this might be a little bit weird today because I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm kind of working on.
Empty roads. Places the world forgot.
Yeah.
You see that? There's something big! Like huge crab figures picking up from the street!
Check the adrenaline! We need to keep moving! Through the underpass!
Let's get moving!
Let me see what I can do.
It's a bit of a roller coaster day today, so...
I'm at the power station. I need backup. These things are all over me.
More tremors.
Any gears out there? Anyone that can hear this?
Byron, you as well now. You messed up audio.
Look out! Oh, shit! What the fuck is that?
Target surface! Open fire!
I thought I muted it. My bad. Okay, there we go. I said, yeah. Me and my son has been working on this for a little while. I put it all together yesterday. That one was hidden. So, sorry. That should be fixed now. Pro streamer stuff. You know how it goes. You ordered a PC, it cost 6-7K. Is that for real? Or are you just joking with me? Max out Gears volume. You shouldn't hear Gears anymore. So you've moved to PC as well, Devastator? The Gears sound is muted. There's no audio. What spec did you end up going for, Devastator? Asher has teased the game? What still? Guys, there's no audio. You can still hear the video? God damn it! Thanks, Calandros. Had me running through settings and stuff. I knew I could rely on Calandros. Good, 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 good. Yeah, so, we've been working on getting this set up for a little while. Things have finally begun to fall in place, so, yeah, I think it looks quite nice. I think I think Minnie did a really good job with this. I mean, this was all Minnie. I just gave him directions on what I wanted. He went away and came back with this. You got a 5080? That's the GPU I'm looking to pick up eventually. I mean, a 5080 is around 1,500 on its own, man. In the US. Probably closer to 2,000. What's up? There you go. What do you mean, Calandros? Why? He did what needed to be done. He's not like you guys. Just fix this because this is all broken again. So what have you guys been playing lately? I've been playing Beast of Reincarnation, which seems to be getting a lot of hate lately. And I don't really get why, but it's a really good game. There was this beta out, but unfortunately it's decided that it's going to go on a hiatus and not come back for a little while, so one day it'll be back. Yo, Power Boss, how's it going, buddy? I'm already seeing people crying about the wall bouncing in Gears. Like, really crying about it. Like, really, really, really crying about it. It wouldn't surprise me if someone decided to put a petition on to get rid of the wall bouncing. No, gaming. I had multiple appointments today. Multiple appointments that I wasn't aware of. I ended up getting a phone call from all three clinics to go in for checkups. And so I didn't really have a choice. One was at 12:30, the other one was at 2:30, and the last one was at 4 o'clock. So my whole afternoon was pretty much taken up by doctor's appointments. Yeah, Gears Day is amazing. I don't see, people are crying about the wall bouncing, and to that I just say don't jump into PvP. PvE is perfectly fine. But it looks like I'm going to have to jump back into PvE because there's some rewards that we can actually get that people didn't really, well, I didn't know about, but maybe some of you didn't know about. And it's these ones over here. So, as you can see, you can get this epic character skin, blast damage mags. For that, you just need to hit player level 20, which I'm nowhere near. I think I'm level 9, so I guess a few more games and maybe I'll get there one day. You can get the weapon skin by extracting Horde Siege 8 times on infantry or higher, so that shouldn't be too difficult. Crush the bug banner, get 25 headshots. That might be challenging for me, especially in a game like Gears. Crush the bug emblem, perform 10 revives. I'm a medic anyway, I just drop my kit and everyone gets up. Crush the bug icon, perform 5 prototype Lancer Chainsaw executions. I've done that already. And finally, open beta medal and first in the fight title. Just launch the multiplayer beta and you're good. And that's it. And you're good to go. You're level 50 with everything maxed. Yeah, I don't have that sort of time to waste on a beta. That's just wasted time. Time you're not going to get back. But hey, if you enjoy it, power to you, man. You know what those Sweat said to me when I praised the slower gameplay? He told me to go play the campaign and get out of multiplayer. Yeah, unfortunately you're going to get those people in every kind of PvP game. But believe me, the majority of the PvP base in Gears welcomes everyone to come into PvP and get better, improve, and just have a good time. And not rage quit. There's a pretty kind of, I don't know how big they are, but there's a really good community of Gears PvP players that just want to see PvP thriving in Gears, and they have been asking for, gameplay changes to make it more accessible to more people, and I think they've done a really good job of that. So, at the end of the day, if it's accessible to you, power to you, man. Just get in there and have fun. Screw what anyone else says. Open beta goes live on the 13th to the 17th. Good stuff. So it looks like on the 13th, I'm going to have... That's, wait, isn't that on Friday? No, that's on Thursday. So Thursday and Friday, looks like I'm going to be maybe jumping into some Gears to get to level 20. And try and get 8 Siege things done. These 3 I think I've done already. I don't know if I'll ever get the banner because 25 headshots. I'm just not great at headshots in Gears. I wonder if that means PvP only or if you can just do it in Siege. If it's in Siege like PvE stuff, then that should be easy enough. I mean, you can't get carried. That's the problem. The solar eclipse is happening tomorrow. Make sure you don't look at the sky then. Yo, Raichi, I signed up to ZZZ. I thought I actually played it before. Turns out that I only played the beta. I didn't actually start the main game. So, yeah, I got my character. I didn't get Jane Doe. I got the other one. I'm hoping she's good. Everyone says she's good, so I went with that one. Reforged got carried. Play on Commando difficulty. It only takes a few games. Commando? Mate, I barely survived with infantry. What are you talking about? Now, I genuinely was praising the new movement. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It took a little getting used to having to press Y instead of A to vault over the walls. But after you kind of got used to it and you kind of had the left stick in to sprint and you could vault yourself, you know, like in seamless motion without having to stop behind a wall to vault over it, it just felt so much better. I think the only person that didn't like it was Steve's best buddy, Dreamcast guy. Dreamcast guy absolutely hated it, as we saw in the last stream. He hated the movement, so maybe, Steve, you might need to talk to your buddy. I didn't get Jane Doe. I know she's a good DPS. I got the support. Supports are more valuable. Apparently Oblivion has been having a lot of problems. Wait, Steve, did I get the wrong best friend? Yeah, my thing with betas, and this is no shade to Gears or anything else, because it's not going to get carried into the main game and it's throwaway progress and throwaway stuff. I don't like investing too much time in betas. I liked it. When the main game comes out, I will spend more time in it. I'll do the minimum required to get the rewards, and then I'll move on to other stuff and wait for the main game to come out. I just don't like throwaway content. It's just I'm like that with every beta out there. I'll play it for a few hours. I'm happy. I know I like it. I move on. So I don't want this to be taken as a shade against Gears, because it's not. It's not about what transfers over. It's about the people you kill along the way. I just don't do it with beaters, man. It's my... That's always been my cardinal rule. I'd rather spend that time playing something else, knowing that you know, I'm going to make... That time's going to be well spent. Don't get me wrong, if I'm with friends and stuff, that's different. But if I'm playing on my own, then definitely it's going to be a thing. Asha played Elder Scrolls 6. Is that... I mean, she's not a gamer, so will she even understand the context of why people loved Skyrim? She's a numbers person, right? I've been playing Pokemon in Minecraft. No, I'm not saying she didn't play it. I'm just saying, you know, if a Skyrim lover played it, I think it'd hold more value. But with Todd Howard said the game was playable anyway. You'll emerge in a year or so. 5 forbid. Don't forget to eat. Now, Ash has been good for Xbox. She has. But, let's see how she's going to do going forward. Yeah, but Phil's a gamer, right? Say what you will about Phil. Say what you will about his decisions, but he is a gamer. And it's partly what, you know, the reason why some of the decisions were made that he made, right? Because he wasn't thinking with a business cap. He was thinking with a gamer hat. And that doesn't always work. Is this the one? So since we're talking about Bethesda, what do you guys think about this guy? The id Software leads devs don't have incentive to care anymore due to ongoing job cuts. The guy basically ripped Xbox into a new one. People have been seeing things. Maybe you should send me some of that stuff on some links, Rachie, on Discord. Yeah, Steve. It's catching up, isn't it? So here's my point, right? This is what I said, and I got a bit of backlash for this. I don't really give a shit. But here's what I said. If you don't care and you want to publicly insult your CEO, the company you work for, you are speed running to unemployment. And since you don't have the incentive to care anymore, well, maybe you should join the 3200 and yeet yourself out before you get fired. I mean, if he actually still stays at id Software, I will be very surprised. Because if I said the stuff that he said about the company I used to work for, I would be fired. I don't even think it's not really about anti-crunch culture. I mean, Navy, when you think about it, right, the whole nature of crunch means that the project is being mismanaged. It's not hitting its milestones. It's not hitting its deadlines. And it means that the management is not doing their job correctly. It's not about anything else. If things run smoothly, then you don't need to crunch. So, you know, crunch is a senior management level failure. They're basically trying to cover their asses by getting people to do overtime in order to push it over the line so they don't have to answer to their senior bosses and explain why they've not hit the deadlines. Like, I've worked on a plethora of projects, right? And some we've crunched, some we haven't, both in the games industry and out of the games industry. And, you know, there's a clear difference between someone who knows how to manage their timeline and who doesn't. I've worked with project managers who are absolutely awful. They do bare minimum and then expect you to work 20-hour shifts towards the end. It just doesn't work. But in the games industry, especially on submission nights or submission weeks, doing crunch is pretty much mandatory. It's expected because that's your final run-in before you go live. So everything has to be as good as it can get. I mean, that's just part of the industry. Man, you're never happy, Steve. I even said 20 hours thinking, man, that should at least impress him. It still didn't impress him. Yeah, that 4 hours has spent me driving to and from work. Take it easy, Power Boss. So right now we're at 1600. It's probably about maybe 1700, 1800 now in terms of losses. But this guy came along and, you know, the numbers of id Software now are at the original Doom. Doom 2016. Yet he's saying that that number can no longer make a AAA game. Yet it did with Doom 2016. So that tells me that the people working at Doom, the current people working at Doom, not the people that were working there for 2016, but the current team that was there is shit. And so maybe they should be let go as well. If they can't do what the team did in 2016 with the same number of people, that's telling you that they're incompetent. Maybe they shouldn't be employed. Maybe they should bring in new people. He should be very careful about how he's throwing his whole team under the bus. That's a guy of like zero care in the world. Vital, that's actually true as well. I've seen so many places where they've done 4-day weeks, especially in marketing agencies. They still keep like a skeleton running on the 5th day. But generally they split it, so the business is always running, but different people are in on different days. And they have it like set for 4 days. So a set of people take the Mondays off and the other set take Fridays off. And it just works so much better. Their efficiency and productivity is up. I guess the 3-day weekend gives them a much more rested time. He was very smart actually saying anything, right? Until they were done. And I don't know what it is, but he kind of thinks that he's immune to all of this. And I think he's about to understand that that is not the case, right? That is not the case. So Asher Shah says, live playthrough of the Elder Scrolls 6 something this morning. The scale and grandeur are incredible. The story is even greater. I don't know. If the number of stars is accurate, then isn't titled Hammerfell, like we all thought. Interesting. The question is, though, chat, is it going to be Xbox exclusive? Seva Logistics, just a company. That's the Valve one, right? Moonlight? That's the Valve affiliate. Steve, that's what I said at the start of the thing. That's what I said. If they got someone who's like a super Skyrim fan to go in and check it out and see what it's like, and then them have their opinion told, I would say that would hold a lot more weight. That would hold a lot more weight. But then you're going to question, has he been paid or she been paid to shill? So you can never win. Really? I haven't seen much of an emo. Just bought War of the North. Do you know what? We're going to get to that today. That's a thing, because that's the new Lord of the Rings, right? Yeah, I mean, the data leak didn't come from Valve itself. It came from its affiliate company. But no passwords were leaked, apparently, and Valve has confirmed that your accounts are secure. No accounts were breached. So what you're saying, Steve, is that they need me to go in and check out Elder Scrolls 6 to give a non-biased, balanced, based view. I've been watching people play the beta. It looks good so far. Man, I never get into those gacha style betas, man. I think the only one I ever did get into was Genshin Impact at the beginning, and that was it. Anything else, I just get looked over. But yeah, this guy, in my opinion, is speed running to unemployment. Good luck to him, is what I said. People got upset with the fact that I said good luck to him, and I don't quite understand why he got upset. Let me see if I can quickly dig up the thing he said. Oh, here it is. Let me Right, this is a 12-minute clip. I'm not listening to 12 minutes of this idiot. It's a 1.5 hour podcast. Anyway, let's have a little listen. I loved how all the media immediately just jumped onto him and were like praising everything that he did. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think it's this one. Let's double check that. Yes, we got the right one. DCG is the biggest Elder Scrolls fan ever. He already platinum Elder Scrolls 6 time, and he can confirm the game is trash while holding an Xbox. They still need someone that can get... What do you mean, capably? I'm very capable. Anyway, let's have a listen.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation online about what's going to happen and what are we doing at the end of the day. It's hard to say. Like, it is hard to make a game that is AAA, that's like we've done before, with half the people.
So, this is what I don't get, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And so here is the part that I personally don't get. If it is half, and that is what they had with Doom 2016, what is that actually saying about the current members of staff being there? Like, what is he actually saying about the staff that's there right now? Like, if I was working there right now, and they made 2016 with these numbers of people, and now he's saying it's impossible with the people there, he's essentially turning round and calling the remaining people at id Software trash. What do you mean no sound? There's sound. I've paused it. Hey, Susanna, how's it going?
And by hard, I mean impossible.
Yeah,
it's hard to make a game when there are entire departments that are gutted that you need, entire disciplines that are gone. So, if they've got some kind of new plan for how this is going to work, that hasn't been told. We don't know what that is. So, the reassurances that we're...
What do you mean there's no sound? There is sound. I can see it moving. What do you mean 1 of 100? It's at 50%. Yo, Calandros, are they pulling my leg?
still the same id and we're still gonna do things, well, first of all, we're not the same id.
Thanks, Susanna.
We're half the same id. Like, id was the people. What made us special was the people and the relationships we have. It's not the IP. That's not, our name doesn't matter. It was the relationships we build and the experience that we had together. So, are we the same id now? No. We're not. Studio management is given talking points on the things that are allowed to be said and what is not allowed to be said. And it feels like it is instead more reassurances. They don't want more people to jump ship and say, oh, there's no more future in id, so we're all gonna leave, and then there's no one left. They don't want unrest. And so at the end of...
A game doesn't need to be $500 million though, Vital, to be a AAA title. Doom will always be regarded as a AAA title.
Today, most of it was just trying to tell us that, oh no, everything's fine and things will be okay. That, you know, the same lines that they said publicly, like, oh, well, we're the size of Doom 2016.
It's too loud. My name is I don't have can hear it.
So we shipped that game, so we could ship another game. Things of that nature.
Which seems to be false to begin with, right? Because if you look at the credits for Doom 2016, there's more people in there credited for id Software than remain at the studio at this point.
Yeah, that, there is a reason they say close to, because it is less. Also, it does discount that we had, at the time, Escalation, which is now BGS Dallas, helping us, and Certain Affinity for the multiplayer. So, like, the single player was largely done by id, but we worked with other studios for other parts of the game. And Doom 2016 was significantly smaller than the Dark Ages, and the quality bar is way higher.
Yeah,
People will debate on what they like about the gameplay versus not. We do like making games that are different from each other, not do the same thing for each one. So that, but like, there's a lot more.
But here's the thing, right? Doom Dark Ages, it didn't sell. No one bought it. It may have had players, but no one actually decided to buy it. So, what is he, like, gloating about? And before anyone says, oh, but it was on Game Pass. Yeah, but there's, like, 300 million PC gamers out there. There's only 10 million of those on Game Pass, right? And then you've got 100 million PS5 gamers out there. So you're looking at 400 million gamers out there who basically turned around and said your game was not good enough. So you can sit there and try to snooze and moose all you want about it, but the game failed on fundamental levels. It's just that simple. It didn't resonate with the audience, and as I keep saying, you're only as good as your last game. If it fails, you pretty much run the risk of getting axed. Unfortunately, that's the economy we live in right now. You can't make mistakes. You take safe bets. And Doom Dark Ages, the DLC apparently is amazing, but the base game didn't sell. People was waiting for that thing to go on sale, you know. I mean, I didn't even wait for it to go on sale. It's on Game Pass, and I still, to this day, haven't played it. Well, Alan Wake 2 has now eclipsed 3 million sales. They've made their money. As for Hideo Kojima, the Death Stranding game sold very well. You know, this is what I've been saying all along. Like, when games come out and they're clustered in such a busy window, like this September, where you've got, I think, an average about 77,000 games coming out in the space of 1 month, they're going to cannibalize each other. It's impossible not to. There is about 7 to 9 games that I'm genuinely interested in September. Most of those are not on Game Pass. So I can't buy all 7 to 9 games. So I'm going to have to cherry pick 2 or 3. And there's going to be more and more people that are going to do that. So what's going to happen to the sales of those games that are all now competing for your money? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're doing it to themselves in releasing games in just so much, convoluted windows. And February is now becoming the same. But it wasn't as good as the previous games. The action was too broken up with the dragon sections. I also heard the pacing of the game just wasn't very good. I've not played it. I'm only going by what was being said. Maybe one day I will play it. But even like the pacing I heard between the story sequences. And then they decided, I don't know. You had a whole subsection of people calling it woke. You had people complaining about the pacing. They slowed it down, apparently. They basically changed what Doom was while trying something different. And I will commend people for trying something different, right? I will always commend people for trying something different. But you've got to take the risks. You've got to accept the risks. Certain levels feel gimmicky. I mean, Raichi, that's always a thing, right? These old franchises just don't have the historic significance they once held. Doom was massive back in its day, and Doom 2016 was amazing, right? Eternal was still regarded as very good, but maybe they just don't have the appeal that they once had, and that's why they tried to change Dark Ages. Unfortunately, again, it didn't resonate. At least at last year's Dev Direct, when they spent like a minute at the end getting people to walk into the camera. I don't know. Like, this guy's sitting here glazing, but, the public didn't agree with what he's glazing about.
There's a lot more that went into each of the games that went along. We made bigger and better games. But that's with twice as many people as we had. So we have...
Again, that's not technically true, because you're now at the same number as 2016.
Fewer than we had before. So are we going to make something equivalent to a single-player Xbox 360 game? Because that's the size of the studio we had. Yeah.
What did that do to...
Microsoft is the one calling the shots on most of it. And they're the ones who are deciding what the future of it is. Even when they know nothing about games, nothing about id. Barely even recognize us in public statements when they just say Bethesda. And leave out id we notice, and we realize.
I mean, come on, let's be realistic. No one says ZeniMax. Everyone refers to ZeniMax as Bethesda, right? I mean, I think I can say that with some ease that when we're talking about ZeniMax, we just refer to Bethesda as the Persuado parent company. At least I do. I know you got Machine Works and whatnot, but for me, it's always been under the Bethesda umbrella. No. This guy needs to just get fired. He's a moron. I'm telling you, if any person came out talking about my company in this way, they would be out. As an ESO player, I say ZeniMax. Yeah, but you're weird, so that's okay. I'm joking. Bethesda is ZeniMax's publisher. Exactly! Exactly! Yeah, it was Diablo.
How much that feels like we're being sidelined, like we're not even thought about it in the company. And when you cut half of us, it seems to be your dollars reinforce that you don't value id. And I do not believe studio management would have wanted to cut 50% of the company. There's no way. They care about the game too.
Okay, look. Listen. So, when cuts are generally done, what upper management does is they get in touch with the management of the studios and they say, right, we need to do this and you need to make it happen. They have a chance at that point to argue their case and say, this is not right, we need these people. Or they say, okay, I'm going to do exactly what you said. Now, I don't know if that guy or woman, whoever's in charge of id Software, this fault for these people or not. But to turn around and blanket say that, you know, they're not consulted in any way, shape, or form on who to get rid of, that's rubbish. Management is always consulted. He's just salty.
But it did happen. And I mean, at this point, there's no coming back from that. These are people's lives that have been completely uprooted.
Yeah, I see that situation there where, you know, lives are impacted, and that's a real thing. My life was impacted when I was laid off last year, 5 days before Christmas, via a phone call while I was on holiday. No one shed a tear for me, so why the fuck should I share a tear for these people? At the end of the day, they did a bad job in making a game that no one wanted to play. That's on them. And if they have anyone to complain about, it's their management. They should be complaining to their management and saying, you made these decisions, you should be on the chopping block, not us. That's how this works. You know, it's sad that people get laid off, but to try and use it as a sympathy vote, get the fuck out of here.
Even if a magic wand waved and everyone got their jobs back, plenty of people have lost their trust and they will never trust Microsoft again. They'll never work for a Microsoft studio again.
Yo, Steve, it was like that, yeah. It was pretty much like that. That's why I was all over the place, if you remember last year. It was pretty... I mean, I got that phone call 5 days before Christmas. It messed up my whole Christmas. It was damn horrible. But you know what? No one bat an eye or shed a tear. I just moved on. Tomorrow was a new day, and I went on with my life. These people will too. It's like you see a bunch of people out there, oh, Microsoft has laid off 3,200 people. All right, so where's your GoFundMe? Where's the money you've put aside or raising money for these families that have lost their jobs? Oh, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, then why the fuck are you crying then? If you're not going to put your money where your mouth is, shut the fuck up. It's all performative, and that's what pisses me off. If you care about it, put your money where your mouth is. Start a GoFundMe. Start a charity fund. Raise, 30, 40, 50 grand and give it to those developers that have lost their jobs. No one is doing that. You know what they are actually doing? Monetizing. They are monetizing those people and making money off their demise. You saw Kotaku constantly writing articles about how, people were potentially losing their jobs, potentially studio closures, which none of them happened, right? All of this, and they're saying that Microsoft is inducing anxiety when the media was writing tons of articles about this, monetizing every single ounce of their despair and sorrow. Not a single one of those media outlets gave two whatsits about these developers. You see all these performative influencers out there on social media. Oh, this is disgusting and it's bad. None of them give a crap. Ask one of them right now. What's happened to Bluepoint? Or what's happened to any other studio that's closed down? And they'll be like, Bluepoint who? Yeah, they don't even give a second thought. It's all performative. It's all rubbish. Nothing is going to convince me otherwise. Now, if you start a GoFundMe and start raising money for those developers, and you're out there fighting for months to try and raise some money to get those people some, rent money, good for you. You actually care. But for everyone else, stop being fake. Okay. Look. I realized I made a mistake when I said Kotaku makes money. I should have said PC Gamer. Because they're quite good at rage baiting. Even IGN. So I'll take the L on that one. Ice Cream Man was great. I'll check that out. Can't Ubisoft take all of my money? You know what? I'm a Ubisoft partner, so you can send me your money. He still works at id from what I remember. No, last Goggle. But he should be fired. None of those dudes care. They just want to appear. And I'm the bad guy when I speak the truth. When I say I don't care. Right? It doesn't impact me in any way, shape, or form. Like, when I found out about Red Assembly, the agency that gives out review codes and stuff like that, when I found out that they were losing their jobs, I got a bit upset because I know personally a few people there that I liaise with on, a professional basis, but I've created a repertoire with them, right? And so I know them. And so for that reason, I was a little upset. And, I reached out to them and they told me they were safe and nothing was happening as far as they were concerned. And so that was it. That was as far as my caring went. But
to a lot of friends throughout the industry, they have burned a lot of bridges. It's not just us, but when they see us, who they're like, we want a job at id because it's a stable job. It would have been a stable, like, we originally we were told we hire to retire, so we were ready to just.
Do you know what? Microsoft should just turn around and say, yeah, guys, since none of you actually want to do any work and none of you actually want to make any games anymore, as said by Chris, well, we're going to listen to Chris and just shut it down. If you have any complaints, you can go to Chris. He's the one that made our decision for us, and he's the one that wanted it to shut down. So if you have any complaints, go to him. I wonder how he'll take that. Dude, if you can make it... Exactly. Mate, China is killing it at the moment. They're doing amazing. Moonlight, it does sound like he's a proper... I mean, he looks like an activist. It's the tash. I don't know what it is, but it's that tash and those round glasses. It's given that kind of Dr. Robotnik, but not in a good way Robotnik vibe. Chaos asks for Xbox codes. Mate, I've got more chance of getting Stadia codes than getting Xbox codes. And Stadia's dead. But no, in all seriousness, Banisher, I don't even ask anymore. I've given up. I genuinely don't even ask anymore. Poland is doing great as well at the moment. I mean, that's another thing. The tech industry right now is being completely and utterly obliterated by AI, right? It's just completely erasing everything.
Be there until we retired. And no one believes that anymore. In the same...
Mate, which guy thinks you're going to retire at the job you go to? Like, what nonsense is that? I don't care if someone makes mistakes as long as they're not critical ones, but I have fired people when they demonstrate they can't understand the problems they're creating. I've made mistakes on projects, man, that set us back like 2 weeks. As soon as I noticed the mistake that I made, and I found a massive problem in the code that we were working on for an app that we were building, and I missed it. We were getting ready to showcase it to the client. And the client was like pretty much dialing in, and I found that problem, and I was like, I went straight to the project manager, said, look, I'm holding my hands up. I'll say whatever you need me to say. It's on me. I missed it. And so they said, you know what? The fact that you've actually caught it and it wasn't on Thing, we didn't find it live on Thing, because they would have found it live on Thing, because it would have been stuff that they would have done. It's just one of the tests that I guess it just slipped through the cracks. And, they went in with full disclosure, let the client know exactly what it was. It was a critical problem. They explained that it was missed. The client was actually okay with it, and, okay with it for the most part. And we managed to turn it around. But, mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. But,
financial statements that Microsoft puts out for everyone. Maybe studio management knows, but we don't.
Why would you want to know? Your manager knows. Why do you need to care about... Mate, what makes you special about needing to know the company's financial situation? You just get a salary.
On the ground level, we don't get to know what that is.
You don't need to know.
We can have guesses just like everyone else. I know that, we have serious issues with how Game Pass is done. Whenever we see the financial reports that say that there were, poor sales under Bethesda, what's a sale? If you have Game Pass, are you saying that poor sales means poor number of games sold? Because of course, you're not doing a game sold business model. And they fundamentally don't understand art.
See, the Game Pass argument I understand to a certain degree. Microsoft was going for a engagement metric, which means that games sold doesn't really factor into it. The problem is, Game Pass didn't sell. And that was the biggest problem. And so then it turned from, hey, we like the engagement, but we like to see some money as well. And Game Pass isn't on on PlayStation and on these other platforms. So we kind of want it to sell on those platforms. And there's no excuse for this game not selling on PlayStation, right? There's fundamentally zero excuse for this game not selling on PlayStation. And it didn't sell. I think it sold 500,000 copies in the end. It sold 500,000, which is 300,000? 3 to 500,000 on PlayStation. On a 100 million user base. Well, 100 console user base. I'd say it's more roughly about 80 million user base. It doesn't pay to be good in the stream. My take on that. You've got good developers, and then you've got, you know, those that can get by. I think, in the end, developers are there just... The developers just build, right? You tell them to build something, they will build it. Any developer will do that. The essence of the game is done by the story writers, the music creators, right? They're the ones that build the essence into the game. If you tell a developer, I want you to create this figurine in the game and I want it to be able to do this animation, they will make that happen. Because they work to what you tell them to do. In which case, most people that are front-end developers or, you know, developers in general can do that. But it's the ones around it that define what a good game is. They're the ones that design the gameplay mechanics. They're the ones that design the storyboarding. They're the ones that design, you know, that are orchestrating the music for scene by scene. And so that's where the real engagement for the player comes in. In terms of the developers, they're a dime a dozen. Developer A will be just as good as developer B. And if they're not, then they'll go to developer C if they're incompetent. And then developer D if they're incompetent. Until they land on a competent developer. Because a developer is just doing what you tell them to do. If you tell them to build a block of houses, they're just going to build you a block of houses based on the design you've given them. And if there's any complications with that design, then they will come to the creative team and say, look, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. These are the limitations. You need to give me another design. They then go back, see that it's not possible. They mock up a new design and say, right, here's the new design, go make it. And so the front-end developer then goes and builds it again. And then if it works, happy days, they bring it back, show it to the creative. Creative says, I'm not happy with this, make these changes. And that cycle continues. But a developer just builds, right? They just build. They're not the brains behind what makes the game the game. It's the ones above them that are giving the orders. Susanna, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
They don't understand art. They don't understand games. They don't understand that business model. And as a result, the idea that, well, you need to think multiple years, not 1 year at a time. Like, part of me thinks that they're looking at fiscal year 2027, and they see that we don't make money in 2027 because we released a game already. Like, it's hard to know since they don't tell us anything, but it is clear that the way they do accounting, the way that they align their spreadsheets for their financial reports is not the way we used to do it. It's not a how much did this game make profit and loss. Because our, you know, when we did know information before, we were always very profitable. We always made successful games, critically and...
So, you always made successful games, now you had a team twice as big, and you didn't. So what happened? You had all the funding, all the backing, all the monies, all the support from Phil Spencer, and you messed up. So what happened? Where, are you going to take any responsibility for the failures of Dark Ages? I bet he doesn't. Enjoy your Ghost Recon. Oh, I'm sure they like...
sales. It's hard to know for under Microsoft now, because with Game Pass, what is a sale? And does that mean that we suffer if we don't have a lot of sales, but also we suffer if we don't have a lot of players on Game Pass? It's never been clear. Like,
it's very simple. If your game doesn't move the needle for Game Pass as a AAA game, and it doesn't do any sales, you're kind of in trouble. It needs to do one or the other. But if it's not doing any of those, then there's a problem, right? Like I said previously, if Game Pass had sold 200 million subscriptions, right? If it sold 200 if it sold 200 million subscriptions, they would not be having this conversation today. The problem is it did not have 200 million subscriptions. It just fundamentally didn't have nowhere near that. They didn't have Game Pass players nor buyers. So exactly. Like, where was the success for this game? Like, don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place where you want to go out and defend what you've built, right? There's a time and a place where you want to go out and say, right, this is something, this is a hill I'm willing to die on. This isn't it. And this guy is basically, like, who would want to employ this guy after this reaction? Like, not only has he just, in my opinion, cemented his exit from Xbox entirely, but who would want to employ a guy like this who's going to go out and actively criticize the company he's worked for? Like, who's going to employ him? Did you guys see that guy? I forgot his name, but the one that said that that worked in Obsidian, that said, if you're a white crusty dude, I've got no interest, but if you're black, hit me up. I'm hoping you can replace me one day so I can go and live out my dream in the woods. Well, he's been fired from Xbox. He's been let go. So now he can finally go and live out his days in the woods. Although apparently, funnily enough, his LinkedIn profile now says open to work. So I don't know what's happened with those ambitions of living in the woods with nothing but trees and grizzly bears around him. Sony would hire this idiot? Do you know what? With their current track record, it would not surprise me. But he's burning bridges that he cannot come back, and other companies gonna... Exactly, Moonlight. There's this guy, like, this is career suicide.
We've wanted to know specifically, what do we need to hit? And this started coming up as soon as they started closing studios 2 years ago. We had people asking to Microsoft, like, what are the metrics we should hit? We love metrics. Just tell us, like, what are the goals? Like, we will design a game optimized for the thing that you think is good, which obviously has its own problems. Like, we should be making games that are good, that as art forms. It should be something that is expressed. But being good stewards of Microsoft's investment, what would you like? And we can't get straight answers.
See, here's the thing with that, right? Here's the thing with what he just said. That's not... Is this stream still running? I'm seeing chat is not connecting. Someone say something in chat? Okay, cool. It was just reconnecting constantly. I feel like they're a victim of the Phil regime, where Phil was saying, go make what you want to say, go express yourself, and make great games. We're not going to interfere. We're going to leave it to you to make amazing games, which is what everyone was saying. We hope Xbox doesn't interfere. We hope Microsoft doesn't interfere. Leave the people that know what they're doing to do what they want to do. And now we're finding out that the people that are the creative minds, are, the geniuses behind what they make, are absolutely clueless pricks, and they don't actually know anything. And he's asking for guidance from a company or from people that are deemed to not know anything. Yeah, I don't know why it disconnected. Right? You can't have it both ways. You can't say don't interfere and then criticize when they don't interfere. It doesn't work like that. But at the same time, they had complete freedom to make the game they wanted to make. And now he's saying, tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. Phil wanted Game Pass to grow, and his plan was to make it, 100 million, 200 million, and it could have had that. You want to know what the biggest mistake of Game Pass was? The price. It was the price. If they priced Game Pass at $9.99, they would have made crazy losses at the beginning. But they would have built those subscriptions, right? They would have hit that 50 million, 60 million, 80 million, 90 million, 100 million. And then once they got that 100 million, increase it by $1. That's an extra 100 million a month by $1. That's an extra 100 million once you hit those stupid numbers. That's what Netflix did. Netflix has been working at a loss for years. But now they've got their stride, they've got the numbers behind them, and now they're slowly, incrementally increasing the subscription costs. Now they're actually making profit. Subscriptions don't make profit straight off. That was Xbox's biggest problem. They priced it too high. You price it so low, not crazy low, but $9.99 would have got everyone in day one. They would have had 50 million, 70 million easy. But when you're making it $14.99, you start to question it a little bit. And then it went to $17.99, and then you think, then it went to $30, and you're like, whoa, what are we doing here? Now I'm talking about Ultimate. I'm saying, what they should have done was worked on a loss leader presumption until they built up enough numbers. It's not like Microsoft is bleeding, caring for money. They're a multi-trillion-dollar company. They could have worked on that loss leader plan until they built up the community and then slowly raise that subscription price without it really impacting anyone, which is what normal companies do. Yeah. Good night, little one. Good night. Let us say good night to chat. Oh, mwah. Chat. Luna's going to bed. Let me hold you by your bum so you don't actually fall over. Okay, that's it. Bye, Luna. Sleep well. So you had Game Pass console, but that didn't have any of the online stuff. So it was missing anything that required online was missing online. So it had a huge chunk of games that simply were not playing because it launched without Xbox Live. They had that weird version called Game Pass console that just didn't have any online capability. But if you wanted the online capability, you had to get the next tier higher, which was more expensive. I'm saying they should have just launched it with that and kept it like that for a while until they hit the numbers that they wanted to hit. And once they hit that number, because at that price it would be silly not to subscribe, then you start increasing the numbers. Like I said, once you get to like that 100 million, $1 a month extra is 100 million extra a month. And then a year later, you can increase it by another. So now you're looking at 200 million extra a month. It sounds so small, but when you're looking at it from a bigger audience, it's so much more. And it's crazy. Yeah, Gold became trash the moment Game Pass came out.
In my personal opinion, I don't know how it can go back to what it was. That trust is a really fragile thing. It takes work to build up, but it's really easy to shatter. So I don't think that it can be repaired at all.
So shut them down.
In the long term.
No, shut them down. If it cannot be repaired and you are willing to take on that responsibility, shut them down. You be the guy to go over to Asher Sharma and Matt Booty and say, it cannot be repaired. You've ruined it. It is gone. I'm going to ruin all the other 50% of the workers' lives. I'm going to tell you to shut it down. I bet he doesn't have the balls to say that to Asher Sharma. I bet you he doesn't have the balls. Those testicles would have fallen off before he even got up.
You know, time heals all wounds. But I think as long
That's
as
what I
under
said.
Microsoft, as
Moonlight.
long as there's that there, no one will believe anything. No one is going to believe studio management giving assurances on things because they know they're not making the shots. So they're not going to trust Microsoft ever. So by proxy, they can't trust studio management. Can things go back to trusting for day-to-day decisions, things like that?
So here's the thing. Leave. 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 Like, I don't understand. If you're this disgruntled about where you work, resign. Leave. Don't, he's clearly waiting for a package. Leave. Be a man of your word. Like, this is the thing, right? This guy not only is a hypocrite, but he's not even a man of his word. He could easily leave, like... Oh, YouTube is having outages? What a great night to do streaming.
Yeah, I think that can be that can be repaired. That can be things that people eventually learn, get back to making games. But when people are thinking about, do I want to be here for the next game? Do I want to be here long term? That's what's harder to come back from. And sometimes, like, when I'm talking with other people, we're all having the same questions. Like, where does this leave us? Where are we going? And the hard truth at the end is no one knows, because these decisions were not made with foresight. They were not made with the idea of a healthy game studio continuing forward.
Or even a plan on how to continue with the studio, right? Because if I understand you correctly, there's still no next for id Software at this point.
Yeah, there's still discussions, and I can't talk any particulars on what is coming up, but you know, it is still...
They've already said they're making their next Doom game, right? So what is he even talking about?
We had just shipped something, so we're still in that period where you're trying to figure out what happens next. And our when we had done the Dark Ages, we were actually, after we had been bought by Microsoft, we were, I believe, the first game to be greenlit under Microsoft. And so like, we were kind of like the first test run of that. And so that we had the ZeniMax process before, and we transitioned over to a Microsoft process. So with them changing everything again, do they have a new process? Are we operating as an independent studio? Are we, like, what are we, I don't know. So it's hard to know if we even have the ability to continue for things if I don't know what we're supposed to continue on. Like, that is something, if things were made more clear, then maybe we could try to find an answer to. Yeah, it's...
So here's my thing. What will it change? How will it make you work better? You're being paid a salary. If you can't work, put your head down, do your job, and you're going to be constantly doom posting and worrying and whatnot about what might happen and what might this, which is going to impact your, you know, day-to-day running of what you're supposed to do. you're basically devaluing yourself even more and putting yourself in the crosshairs of what might happen. You're essentially bringing around a self-foretold prophecy. Oh, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. Oh, I'm so depressed. I'm going to lose my job. We're really sorry that you haven't really. We're going to have to let you go because you just haven't performed very well. Yeah, but it's because I've been depressed because I might be losing my job. Well, now you have lost your job. Yeah, I said it looks like Dr. Robotnik. I said it earlier in the stream. Just an activist version. It's not Goggle. It's not as popular as they thought. It doesn't hold the stigma it once held.
It doesn't make any sense, and I think that since they don't understand entertainment or art or games, and they're thinking of their normal business to business software brain, they're thinking about the stock price. How can we get this financial quarter or year to look good?
Oh yeah, because they have investors that they need to please. They have shareholders. What do you think this is? Does he think that ZeniMax didn't have shareholders or something? But he just needs to learn his place, and that is getting fired.
Those don't align with the same things that make
Hey,
a
Robbie.
successful game. You should be
When you
looking at
say
the
they
budget for
don't
a game.
understand art, what makes you say that?
If you
Good
cut
question.
half of a studio and don't actually take into account how it's made, you don't understand that the cohesion between our teams was what was important, what made it successful.
But you made a shit game that no one wanted. So clearly, your idea of art didn't resonate with anyone else. Okay, maybe saying it was a shit game is a bit of a stretch. But you made a game that didn't resonate with anyone, that no one wanted to play or was interested in. So what does that say about your art? Right? What does that say about his art? Clearly, his vision of art didn't resonate with 7 billion people. So what are we even talking about here?
Like we get told, I think it was in the financial report yesterday that they released.
I'm gonna
about
rab yourself.
Oh well, we have great IPs and studios, and that's a strength that Microsoft has under Xbox. Like, well, they weakened their studios. When they do layoffs, they weaken and devalue their studios. But they don't understand that.
Or they're doing what they specialize in the most, and that's collaboration. After all, Microsoft is all about data and collaborative works. So getting these studios who are working independently now to work collaboratively to ensure they can actually work together and more efficiently, which would then mean that overlapping jobs could be gotten rid of, because no need to have two of the same role when we only need one person. And now that Studio A is collaborating with Studio B and they can actually get the job done together, well, you don't need person A over here because you've got person A over here and you only need one person A. You see how this works?
Like, they continue to say that they have strong studios while they weaken them. And I think that is, if you don't recognize that the people are the people who make it up, that as an art form, it is our experience together, our working together, and our past experiences.
Yeah, that no one
make the
cares about
studio
that.
good.
No, it's not.
Then, yeah, you could just throw away half and bring in more later if you happen to need more number of hours to fill out the checkboxes that you want. But then you're just going to end up with a mediocre game, and people aren't going to be happy, and everyone will know it.
How many people that made the original Doom, the very, very original Doom, are still working at id Software before the layoffs? We spoke about that already, Rebby. Goggle, it just didn't resonate with people. I mean, that's the bottom line. No matter how people want to coat it or whatever it is, in the end, the interest in the franchise just wasn't there. It had its fans. It's going to have its fans. But in terms of mass appeal, it just didn't have it. I mean, that's true. Coalition has been spread out helping all over the place. And they came out just fine. So technically the original vision of Doom isn't even at the company anymore. So what's he even talking about? I enjoyed Black Ops 7 for what it was. I didn't like the missions that were pretty much in the multiplayer kind of field. I forgot what the multiplayer is. Warzone. I didn't like the Warzone maps. I think that was really cheap. And I know they did it in the previous game as well. And I kind of wish they wouldn't do that. Using the Warzone maps, I feel is just cheap and tacky. There's no need for it. But other than that, I thought the game was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. The dragon riding sections were a complete waste of development time and the gameplay time for the players. It's going to have its issue. There's a reason why it didn't sell. Like, I can't talk much in terms of the game because I haven't played it, and quite honestly, I've got no interest in playing it. I've just got way too many other games that I am interested in playing. Maybe one day I'll get to it, but who knows. But it didn't do enough to say to me, I want you to play this game. You need to play this game. Whereas a game like Beast of Reincarnation, that sold me instantly. It had all the checkmark points that I wanted in a video game. And I'm really enjoying it as of now. But yeah, all I said was, dude is speed running himself to unemployment. Good luck to him. That is exactly what he's doing, man. That is exactly what he is doing. Well, with him that said and done, do you remember people were saying that Final Fantasy games on Xbox doesn't sell? Well, according to Square Enix, strong sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for Switch 2 and Xbox platforms. I am one of the people that also bought it on Xbox Series X, and I'm happy with it. It's good to see that all those ponies that were saying good old Xbox fans don't buy games, yet here is Square Enix saying to the contrary. If you make good games and deliver the games that people actually want to play, you get good sales. At least you still bought it, dude. It's still a sale. It is still a sale. And that's what's important. And so the myth of Xbox gamers not buying games is there. So I suspect Revelations that is going to release day and date is actually going to sell very well. I bought part 1 last week. Not planning playing it anytime soon. And the amount of times I've done that is crazy. I've just stopped buying games. I've got too many games I'm playing. Although the next game, I've pre-ordered the physical edition of Final Fantasy X-2 from Japan for the Switch 2. That completes my collection of Switch Final Fantasy games. It's the only one I'm missing now. But Trails in the Sky Chapter 2 is the next game I'm going to pay full price for. Yeah. Like I said, I don't understand the hate for Beast of Reincarnation. It's a good game, but it's another one that's getting dogged to hell right now, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's happening. You know? Yeah, I think I've got a couple of slides for that, actually. Let me see. So, The Lord of the Rings, War in the North, Legacy Edition, announced, available now, $20, $17.99 launch discount. It's available on PC, PS5, Xbox, Switch 1 and 2, co-op, local, and online, shared split screen, up to 4K, 60 FPS, and we've got single player, 60 FPS, 4K, blah, 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 all the good stuff. It looks like we've got a trailer here as well for a minute. Let's check it out.
An ancient evil has arisen from the shadows. Sauron gathers power. His malice inflames those who follow him.
Was this a sequel to Middle-earth?
Stand those who do not seek glory. Those who fight to stem the onslaught. To protect their people, their lands, and all of Middle-earth.
You'll be proud of me, chat. I just killed a spider. But yeah, this is available on everything. But was this the sequel to Middle-earth that was, or Two Towers, I think it was called, on PS2? Me murderer. Talking about 7 sales, I've seen it posted in a number of places, Navy, that it's done relatively well. Well, it's had strong sales. And Hazardor won't lie about that. This is actually available right now. You can buy it right now. Cheap passes could at least have it up on Game Pass. What? Oh, the irony of that post. The irony of that post is insane. The irony of that post. Loot. Loot. Lightweight. It's like, I think this mentality where, oh, if it's not a Game Pass, I'm not gonna buy it. I think that's the mentality that Asher Sharma needs to change. That's why games are skipping Xbox. That mentality needs to change. Right? But man, how are they cheap when you're literally the one crying over here? Come on, man. It's I don't even know what to say, man. I don't even know what to say. Where is what I'm looking for? Okay, here we go. I don't understand that, man. I do not understand that at all. But if you do want this game, it's available now. I might pick it up. But like I said, I'm having an absolute amazing time in Beast of Reincarnation. I'm also in the process of playing through another game that I can't name right now because I'm reviewing it and it's not being released yet. It comes out in a couple of days, so hopefully I can have my review up in time. So there's that as well. So yeah, I'm quite busy with everything at the moment. I know, Retro. Cheap to D isn't cheap to me. Oh, man. So I did actually find out something quite interesting about Halo. And I personally didn't know this. And I don't know if many of you knew this. But Reflections over here says Bungie should have never gave up on Halo, bro. Why did they do that? Christopher Barrett, who was one of the directors on there, because of Myth 2 installer bug recall. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Myth 2 installer bug was, when you went to uninstall the game, it uninstalled pretty much your operating system. It was, and that was on disc. There was no saving that, and that put the company in severe financial trouble. And at the time, Halo was just a prototype demo, which was originally going to be a game for the Macintosh. Microsoft bought the company and Halo, and the owners got paid millions for it. Halo, as you know it, and on console wouldn't have happened if Microsoft didn't purchase Bungie. That's one hell of a bug. I think I've bought the first Sinking City. I'm going to play the first Sinking City Devastator and then the second one. The game I'm reviewing is not Sinking City 2, but I'm also not going to tell you what it is. But I will say that it is definitely not Sinking City 2. That is one hell of a bug, but the bit that got me is this bit over here. If Microsoft didn't... Halo, as you know it, on console, wouldn't have happened if Microsoft didn't purchase Bungie. That's crazy. If it did ever ship, it would have been primarily Mac game, which it was at the time. I didn't know this. Ignorant comment from me, that would mean that... I know it was a Mac game at the time, but I didn't know what sort of trouble Bungie got into and they got bailed out in this way. This was news to me. I did. Because that is the next story. Looking sharp. Who's buying one? Who's buying one? Chat. Last I heard, MBG became a open gamer. Need to check out Twitter chat? What's happening in Twitter chat? No, there's nothing in Twitter. I haven't received any chat message. Oh, there we go. We literally just watched it, Ravi. Where have you been? We just watched that trailer now. You just missed it. You literally just missed it. We just watched The Lord of the Rings. We just went over all the details on The Lord of the Rings. We literally just watched it. Either way, here's the thing, right? When the PlayStation Slim launched, did it launch with a drive? No. When the PlayStation 5 Pro launched, did it launch with a drive? No. These two consoles were already sold to you as a digital console. The attachment add-on came after. But ultimately, they sold you a digital console. An all-digital console. I don't think many people really realized that when it was happening. And Sony, for 100%, is going to be using that metric on their side. I don't know. The console... I like the parts... I like the swipes here, the claw marks here that are transparent. So you can actually see inside the case. But other than that, I don't think it needed the face. I think that made it more tacky. Don't care, they all freaking need is a PS5 Pro custom plates. I think they're probably going to sell the plates on their own, right? They did that last time. I mean, Xbox dropped... Do you remember the... I don't know what they were called, sleeves on Xbox? They released a Starfield one. I think they did a Call of Duty one as well, but then they just like, nah, we're done with these. We're moving away. Have a good night, Ghosty. Rest well, my dude. No disc, no drive, no buy. PlayStation, mate, this PlayStation Blackout is going to do jack shit. Jay Pirate says, I love it. These look badass. These controllers are looking sharp. Yeah, I just don't see them. They're not going to reverse this decision. Not just for me, but the last couple of limited editions have left a lot to be desired. Simple Jack, I agree. That's not great. I did like the claw marks on this, right? Only because you can actually see inside the machine, and I think that's always a nice little touch. But this whole thing here, I think adding Wolverine's face onto it actually lost value to the overall design. I mean, Sony is going to be pushing all digital forever now, man. I don't see them not doing that. If you have a disc drive, you'll have a pregnant woman with a white belly. God damn it, Rachel, you've been playing ZZZ way too long. Although I will say I do want Ramiel. I think that's her name. Ramiel. She looked damn good. She looked good. Pregnant wolf. The opportunity to sell a digital copy of Tilu at a premium price is scratching their palms. I mean, I think their digital pricing leaves much to be desired, and I think that's ultimately the biggest problem. I've got a couple of videos that I've planned for today. I've got a number actually. Some we might have to leave till Thursday. They're actually quite good. I've got one about Sega, but that one's 40 minutes long, but it's a fantastic video. So maybe we'll leave that for Thursday because it's already 10 o'clock and we've already been going for 2 hours. I don't know how people feel about that one, but it's an amazing video. It talks about how Sega lost it all. There are stuff in there that even I didn't know about, and I'm a huge Sega fan. But some of the stuff that went on their demise is just mind-blowing. There's 2 other videos from a guy called Floxy Pox that I've sidelined. Sony just gave me the ultimate reason to leave with the latest news, and I think PlayStation could fold. And finally, the one that I think might be good for tonight is the gaming market is starting to break, and I think this one is really damn good. I've seen this one. It was a phenomenal watch. I don't think I can get Ramiel because I don't have enough currency to pull. I don't even have access to the gacha yet. I'm in a yellow PS5, but the disk drive. Which one would you guys like to check out? You've also got this guy. He was quite special. I don't understand why people are getting upset with this guy. I mean, I know he's taken a book out of Nibs's philosophy in writing long posts. But why are people, finding it weird that a business guy that's, business orientated in making money is posting opinions on how they can make more money? Like, I disagreed with him, and I've tweeted against him saying that I disagree with you. But at the same time, like, I've seen people making lots of videos on this, and it's like, CEO dude whose sole purpose is to make more money for the company is pro making money for the company, and how that is bad. Like, what did you want him to turn around and say? Like, did you actually expect an ex-CEO in gaming to turn around and say, this is a bad idea? It is very basic, Cesaro. He's basically saying, I like money and I want to make more money. And as a CEO, I want to make my company more money. That's all that reads. All of this is translated into, I like money, I want to make the CEO more money, and when I make the company more money, I get a big fat bonus. That's it. That's all that translates to. I'm a long ways away from that, Rachie. This one's actually a decent one to segue into the video we're about to watch. SanDisk launches the Optimus GX C50 storage expansion card for Xbox Series X and S. Expansion cards come in 3 capacities. You have the 512 gig for $110, 1 terabyte for $200, and the 2 terabyte for $340. To sweeten the deal, they give you 1 month of trial of Game Pass Ultimate inside the box and 1 month of Discord Nitro. It's like, oh my god, Dad. I'm not paying almost $400 for that. Vince, that's exactly what he's doing. He's basically looking at it from a CEO's perspective and saying, I like money. And companies like money. And they like to make money. And they're going to do what they need to do to make money. Or maybe Helix can just have a normal NVMe stick rather than these shortened CS NVMe sticks that cost an arm and a leg and are way more expensive and are proprietary. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Although I did invest in a 1 terabyte version of the memory card, so if they do support it, I'm all happy because it will give me an extra terabyte. But you know what? Let's check out that video because I think it's a great segue for this one. And if you watched my video that I released yesterday, well, early hours of this morning, it actually ties into this video quite well. Let's see. Is that going to work?
This is a PlayStation 5. It came out in 2020 at $399, and now, even though it's 6 years old, it costs $599. Nintendo's announced a price hike to their Switch 2. The Xbox has raised its price 3 times since 2025, and the scariest part is not even the extra money, it's what's happening around it. Because at the same time, PlayStation announced it's going to stop shipping physical game discs entirely. Xbox has axed 5 of its big game production studios and fired thousands of people in what's being called one of the biggest single layoffs in gaming history. All while Nvidia has started capping how many hours a month you're allowed to play when using their...
That's probably the worst thing out of all of these 3. The fact that, and you know, we're going to come full circle to this by the end of the video, but this is something that you want to pay attention to. Because what Nvidia have done here is pretty nasty.
Services. The craziest part? Everything I've just mentioned is linked. This is actually all part of a single chain reaction that's already started in the gaming industry. And I don't see where it stops. To understand what I mean, if we were to take apart this PlayStation 5, inside, you would find 16 gigabytes of RAM, or memory, which it needs to be able to run games. A single AI chip from Nvidia, the Blackwell Ultra, requires 288 gigabytes of memory, 18 PlayStation 5's worth of RAM. Now it is a fancier type of memory than what's in your PlayStation, but it's made on the same production lines by the same companies, so every gigabyte that goes into this is a gigabyte that can't be made for a PS5.
Rachie, we had a rollover of 15 hours, and last month, we went through 115 hours on cloud, and we had to go down to the lower tier. Thankfully, I had some time in Boosteroid, and they're unlimited, but they gave me like a sample to trial out, which I'm going to make a video on at some point. And that carried us over. But yeah, no, I'm a huge cloud gaming advocate. I game on GeForce Now a lot. I stream on GeForce Now a lot. I'm on it a lot. Like, you know, it's one of the reasons I haven't bothered buying a graphics card. Because I game on it a lot. My kids game on it a lot. It provides them, you know, a 5080 experience without having to buy a 5080, and our internet connection is perfectly fine and they can play it just fine. Sure, if you're playing stuff like Valorant and things like that, well, you don't need a high-end gaming PC, you pretty much run it on whatever you can and make sure you've got 120 to 160 FPS and you're happy. But, you know, for normal games, it's amazing. But yeah, we actually hit 115 hours last month. And that's when I realized that, wait a minute, we need to... I contacted NVIDIA, like, I'm a founder, why am I capped? Apparently from January this year, founder members only have unlimited in the intermediate tier, in the mid tier. The Blackwell tier doesn't give you unlimited. You're with the same restrictions as everyone else. The only thing you do have is the grandfathered price lock. Do you know what? The performance gain I get from NVIDIA's GeForce now is way more thing. And I'm playing the games on Xbox anyway, through Xbox Game Pass on GeForce now, so I'm still getting all my Xbox achievements as well.
And the problem is when AI companies buy chips for their data centers, they don't just buy one. Chips are sold in racks, each containing 72 of those AI chips. So one rack equals 1,300 PlayStation 5s. Oh dear.
That's crazy, right? This is why there's no memory left in the world. Right? That's insane. One rack is 1,300 console worth.
And they don't just buy one rack. Racks are purchased in clusters. Last year, Microsoft switched on their first big cluster to help power the growing needs from OpenAI's ChatGPT models. That cluster was 64 racks in one go. 83,000 PlayStation 5s. And here's
83,000 just for one cluster.
where it gets truly terrifying. Even that was barely a test run compared to the scale on which these new servers are being set up now. Just a year later, OpenAI is currently building out the Stargate campus that will reportedly hold 100 times the number of racks as that first purchase. 8.3 million PlayStation 5s worth of memory in one company's one site. That's almost enough PlayStations for every single household in the entire continent of Australia. And so when you factor in that there are also other AI companies, Meta and their even larger Prometheus site, xAI's Colossus, supposedly the world's most powerful data center, Amazon, Google, and every other big tech company who's galloping headfirst into the AI wars, we have reached a point where AI data centers are now estimated to be swallowing up 70% of the world's memory output. 70% is going into building services that we'd barely heard of 5 years ago. And that has left everything else on the planet that needs memory, every phone, every PC, every car, every console, having to now fight over the small and rapidly shrinking pool that's left.
And this is why prices are constantly going up. Doesn't it take like 3 to 5 years to build fabs?
Why don't they just make some more memory, you ask? Well, I don't think they want to. See, the entire world's memory supply comes from largely 5 companies. And if we're talking about the specific type of memory used to make RAM, that's only 3 companies: Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. And these 3 companies could choose to invest tens of billions into new factories to be able to produce more, but that would take 3 to 4 years to build.
Yeah.
And if there were to be an AI crash in that time, they'd have spent it all for nothing. And so why take the risk when they're currently raking in cash? These companies are currently lapping up 70 to 80% margins on their memory compared to the historical norm of 30 to 40% because of one simple fact: that their new favorite customers, big tech companies, will pay absolutely anything for it. We are in a very unique situation.
It's insane, but, you know, these 3 big companies that are building the memory, they don't believe that the AI boom is going to last. So they're going to, because of that notion, they're going to milk it as much as possible. They could be building these fabs, and they could have started building them years ago, right? When this was originally becoming a problem. And they knew it was becoming a problem. And they knew that it was going to be a thing. But instead, they decided, hey, we're just going to milk it. And now they're making more profits than ever. They've got zero incentive to actually not to do nothing. Right? And what you need now is government intervention. No, right now you need government intervention to go, because I do believe that these companies are actively, stopping and halting production. I think, I do believe that there is more supply, but they're kind of bottlenecking stuff. That's my theory anyway. That's my belief. Because if you don't have the demand, if you have the demand but not the supply, you can dictate whatever price you want. And with Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, all of these companies, Nvidia, willing to pay whatever it takes to get those memories, why wouldn't you control the market? Why wouldn't you milk it for everything it's got? Because eventually it's going to blow, right? It's going to burst. The bubble will burst. But until then, they're going to milk it for everything they have.
Where basically for the first time since the dot-com bubble, some of the richest
Philanthropists,
companies on
exactly.
the planet, like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, are not even behaving like businesses. They're spending more money than they're even making from AI, because the fear of losing the AI race has actually become bigger than the fear of debt. This is a very precarious situation for the world to be in, and it puts these memory companies in such a powerful position that it feels like they've just decided to forget entirely about the consumer, with Micron actually quietly shutting down its consumer memory brand, crucial, to focus on these data center business customers. Now, new factories are coming. Elon Musk and Intel are building a giant AI complex in Texas, for example, that will also make some memory, but none of it produces anything meaningful before 2028. Plus, almost all of that new capacity is being built for, you guessed it, the AI customers anyway, because, well, you already know now. So how much more expensive has this memory really become? Well, to give you an idea, within just 3 months at the end of last year, the price of a single 16GB stick of RAM rose almost 300%, according to Tom's Hardware's RAM Price Index. Asha Sharma, CEO of Xbox, has said the price we paid for console storage components was over 2 times as high as we paid last fall. These costs have since doubled again, and as we plan for the 2027 holiday season, we expect another significant increase, taking us over 5 times the prices we paid only 2 years ago.
Crazy.
5 times. Memory is getting so expensive that, according to a report from TrendForce, on some high-end graphics cards, the memory that's on the card, known as the VRAM, now accounts for up to 80% of the total cost. Let that sink in. The actual clever bit of the graphics card that you should be paying for, the GPU chip that companies like Nvidia spend billions designing, is on some cards now costing less than the basic memory that's soldered around it. Here's where it starts to get problematic. The implications from these higher prices are bigger than they first seem, because when the prices go up, of course, fewer consumers buy. Like if we take PlayStation, in May 2026, just after the price hike, Americans bought fewer PlayStations than they had in any May since the year 2000. That's before the PlayStation 2 had even come to America. Xbox had the worst May in its entire history, and it's much bigger than just PlayStation and Xbox. Any company that makes any type of computing hardware. I was speaking to the director of one of the big Windows handheld companies, the companies that make this kind of stuff, and his words were, man, Windows gaming handhelds and computers are dead now. No company will launch new products if the memory prices continue to rise. It is crazy now. How bad do things need to be for a director of a currently operating business to call their own business dead? Even like Valve, typically the...
That's mental, man, when you think about it. Like, it has to be really bad for you to call your business dead at this point.
Strongman of value gaming just launched their Steam Machine, a box that's barely as powerful as the 6-year-old PS5, for $1,049. It's not going to be the...
And that's without a controller.
next Steam Deck, put it that way. So all of a sudden, the home console, the bastion that for 30 years has been the affordable way to game, the thing your mum could buy you at Christmas, is quietly drifting away from a staple to a luxury purchase. Now, gamers aren't going to stop playing games, right? But are they going to have to start changing where they play them? Very possibly. And that's where things get concerning. If the PlayStation 6, for example, launches at 2.5 times the base price that the PS5 did, $1,000, which sounds like an outrageous prediction, but is actually what the current latest rumors are suggesting, then it's not a crazy thought that far fewer people are going to buy a PS6. And you might think, okay, I mean, that's fine, I'll just wait, I'll buy it pre-owned. But it's not about just us, the individual. See, the entire console gaming industry relies on momentum. These companies have to sell tens of millions of these consoles right out the gate to prove to developers that their new platform is worth developing for. It means that a new console is basically either all or nothing. You either sell tons of boxes, have developers flooding to your platform to make games for those users, and then even more users buying your console because of those games. The Nintendo Wii is a great example of forward momentum like this, with the console eventually hitting 101 million sales. Or you bottle it at the start. You don't manage to get that initial launch trajectory, game devs don't want to take the risk, and then pretty much nothing you do is going to save your platform. Like?
And the Wii U is always getting shit on. I feel bad for the Wii U, man. It was a good console. I don't really understand why it failed. I liked the whole gimmick it had, but man, the Wii U is always getting shit on.
The Wii U, which came just after the Wii, and in its entire lifetime has only hit 13.5.
Oh man.
So my
God,
question is,
dang
how
it.
on earth are Sony or Xbox going to build any kind of momentum with their next-gen consoles if they're priced at $1,000? If the PS6 launches and only 5 to 8 million people buy one in the first year, whereas 80 million people are currently on PS5s, which platform are developers going to prioritize their games for? Obviously the old one. Sure, they'll make a version that runs at a higher resolution for the latest hardware.
And this is what I was saying yesterday, right, in my stream over at Twitch when the conversation came up. When these companies are looking at these platforms and they're saying, right, you got a PlayStation 6, this Project Helix, and they're, combined, say, 10 million units. But then on the right-hand side, you've got the Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5 editions, and they collectively make like 140, 150 million. As a third-party publisher, are you going to make games exclusively for a 10 million user base or for a 150 million user base? Which means that those games are going to be prioritized for the previous gen. Sure, the next generation ones are going to have better resolution and maybe better frame rate, but you're not going to be seeing any real game that's going to be utilizing the power of that machine because the install base is just so low. Should have it. It was great. It's launch. But it's when you're thinking about it, it's a no-brainer. Like the current gen consoles are going to be around for a long, long time.
But any sensible developer who's going to have to spend maybe half a decade pouring everything into their next game is going to do everything to make sure that it's PS5 users who are getting an optimal experience, because that's where the money is. So now there is even less reason to upgrade. And the spiral descends. Because here's the thing, Sony more so than Xbox is a little bit protected in the short term. If no one buys a PS6, then they do still have this giant PS5 install base to sell subscriptions and games to. But the install base of a console is like a melting ice cube. Consoles break, they get sold, they get retired, and players do slowly lose attachment.
I agree, Retro. I agree. And Microsoft has to be looking at this in a way where the whole version of Play Anywhere really needs to come into more effect, but they really do need to utilize Windows a lot more. And I think the next console can't. I mean, I do believe it's going to have a console interface. I believe it's going to have the Xbox OS. It just makes sense with all the updates that they're doing to the console at the moment. But I do feel like it needs something there to say, hey, we're not just this, but we're more. And we can play more, and we have access to more. And that may hurt the console in the long run, but in the current economic climate, I don't believe that the next generation Helix or if it's a 100% next gen console, I don't believe that they're going to do any numbers at all. The Helix or the PS6 next gen. I just don't see it. With the way the prices are going up, and I don't think these consoles, realistically, are going to be any less than 1,000. I was hoping that they would be, but with the way memory is rising at the moment, and if you don't know already, the 2027 allocation for memory has already sold out. We're like halfway through 2026, but the 2027 allocation for memory has already been bought up. It's gone. It's done. They've now started taking orders for 2028. Additionally, there's rumors now that, as I was reading on an article, that PlayStation are starting to look into lowering the memory from 32 gigabytes to 24 gigabytes in terms of memory. Xbox might do the same as well in order to save cost and try and keep the price as low as possible. Like, they're looking at degrading the consoles now, potentially, in order to try and keep that price low. But with the way memory is rising, they're not going to be any less than 12 to 1400. At that point, I hate to say it, but a PC is just going to last you a hell of a lot longer. Like, the notion of you building something now that's going to last you a lot longer is becoming more and more attractive as, as the reality of what next gen is going to be, what its capabilities are going to be, and the support that it's probably not going to really fully get. But this also opens up another avenue, which is what I was saying at the very beginning of the video. Cloud gaming. If you're pricing the consoles out of reach, like, technically you could, if you wanted to buy both the Helix and the PS3, you could be spending around $3,000, right? And if you want to build a decent PC, you can spend around $2,000, $2,500. Or you can go down the cloud gaming route and spend $200 a year, stream all your games that you buy, and you're happy. But Nvidia has thrown a spanner into the works for that as well, because now they've turned around and said, cool, we're going to monetize that as well by capping your time. And so that creates a whole new problem, a whole new avenue of greed that really doesn't need to be there. It really feels like we're entering an era of who can screw you the most and get away with it. The market will normalize eventually. If you're talking about the memory prices, we're not going back to the prices that it was before. Nothing ever returns back. Like, recently there was a 40% reduction in RAM prices, right? And everyone was like, yeah, we've got 40% reduction. Things are starting to look up. Man, they went up by like 5,000%. What are we even talking about here? They've gone up by 5,000% and you're cheering for a 40% decrease? Like, it's never going to hit the numbers that we had before. These prices are here to stay. They may go down by 20, 30, maybe even 50%. But it's not going to go down to the point where it was before. Not even anywhere near those prices. And I think this whole shit is orchestrated to push people into a world where you own nothing and you basically stream everything. Whether it's music, movies, gaming, everything just is one big streamathon. I don't know, man. It's just not looking good.
Stop buying games for it across its lifetime. They drift over to PC, phones, or just out of the hobby. Normally, the thing that replenishes this pool of active users is the next-gen console. So if the PS6 ends up too expensive to do that, then the paying population for companies like Sony is going to shrink every year, with nothing refilling it. So, if these companies want to continue to maintain their profits, they have to claw back money from other places. And as far as I can see, there are 4 ways that they could do this. The first lever they can pull is subscriptions. I think these companies will raise the price of subscriptions and will make it feel more essential to pay a monthly fee to get the
I mean, Raichi, sex appeal sells, man. Just look at gacha games. They make hundreds of millions every month. They make more money than these AAA companies could even dream of. And they make it every month with new characters that look better than the last ones. At the end of the day, sex sells. Whether people agree with that or not is irrelevant. It does. People like to look at attractive things and attractive people. It's just one of those things. And the joke's on them by make all of those flock cameras have RAM in them apparently, and a million other things. Yeah, everything is, you know, it's crazy how much everything uses memory. Like my cousin-in-law, when I was at the barbecue the other day, Amazon mispriced a RAM stick 64 gigabytes for £250. £250! 64 gig! CL30! I was jealous. I already have my 64 gig and I paid way more than that for the 2 sticks. He snatched it up and he messaged me yesterday saying Amazon honored the deal and honored the value, you know, for 250. It was a misprice, but Amazon honored it still. So he got really lucky with that one. Bastard.
experience. I mean, Xbox tried an enormous price increase at the end of last year to its Game Pass. Then
I'm not look, Ramio looks way better than Shinsho. I'm sorry.
It's still more expensive than it was. And Nintendo's already started jacking up online costs 2 months ago in Japan. So who knows how long till that becomes global. Lever 2 is game prices. And we've already been seeing a lot of this before the memory crisis. Like $60 was the default price for a game for 15 years. Then it jumped to $70 in 2020, only to now start another jump to $80, just 5 years after. If things carry on like this, we might be seeing the $100 video game sooner than we'd like to.
We already are seeing the $100 with GTA, because if you want the full experience, you gotta pay $100. If you get the $80, you're getting the handicapped version, you're getting the incomplete version. So we're already there. But I think only GTA right now is the only company that can get away with that. And maybe Call of Duty. I don't play... You don't need to play ZZZ, man. Just have a look at Ramio and look at her animations. You don't need to do that. You don't need to play it. Just YouTube the animation. You got 32 gigabyte for... Yeah, but what? DDR4? DDR5? I want to fill up my car today and didn't think it would be cheaper to just drive off and pay the fine. Nice, Richard. How the hell did you get away with that?
Third lever is control. This is what we've just seen happen with Sony, announcing that from 2028 onwards, they're going to cease distribution of physical discs. And this might seem completely unrelated to what's happening here, but the key thing that this move achieves for Sony is rerouting a lot of the money in the gaming market that wasn't previously going to them, back to them. Because it means that you can't sell your games anymore. When games are digital, they are tied to your account, effectively shutting down the entire secondhand market. It means that if your friend wants to play the same game you're playing, you can't just lend it to them. They can't just pop over to eBay and grab it for $20. They have to make an entirely new, maybe $80, maybe $100 purchase direct to Sony. And if that doesn't already sound like a problem, look at this. On my PlayStation right now, if I want to buy, say, Immortals of Avian, a game that, safe to say, flopped pretty hard, Sony is currently selling that for £69.99. That exact same game, I can pop onto my phone, go onto CEX, and
mate, how?
Order the physical edition for £5.
Look, how is this game on PlayStation $69.99? How? Like, this is the problem with digital prices. This game flopped hard. This game shouldn't be any more than $10 digitally, and it should keep that price. How are they possibly, in what world are they charging $69.99? Because Sony said so? like, this is why people don't trust Sony. Hey, there is that Immortals of Avium is not selling a single copy at $69.99. I want, if any of you actually bought Immortals of Avium at $69.99, I want you to own up right now. Don't get me wrong. I bought it for $5 when it dropped down to $5 on digital. I still haven't played it, but when it dropped to $5 on a massive, like, 99% sale, I picked it up for $5. God, no am I picking that shit up for $69.99. That game is not. That game is bad. Like, no way. Yo, Susanna, you never give me no free games, man. Won't even pay £5 for it. It's like, this is the problem with digital. When you've got stuff like this, it's crazy. But this is what Sony is banking on to make more money.
It is crazy to think that this second option could just disappear. And crazier still, that this is how Sony prices games while these other options still exist. What are they going to do when there's no other option? To clarify, when Sony accesses the discs...
That's true though, right? They are pricing these games like this right now when they know you can go to Computer Exchange and pick it up for $5. As soon as these digital things, like physical games are gone, they're going to be like, wait a minute. I see a problem there. What the tech guy's going to go, what's that? You see that 6 next to the 9.99, yeah? I think a flush of 9s just might look better. And the tech guys are going to go, but the game is really old and it flopped hard. And it'll be like, yeah, but the flush of 9s still look better. Ain't no one paying $100 for the AVM.
You will still be able to buy their games at other retailers, but you'll be buying a download code that still has to go through the PlayStation Store to get you the games.
I don't know what I expected.
So Sony will control the price, more so than they ever have been able to with discs. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Sony axed the disc because of AI, but I do think that Sony axing discs is a sign of a squeezed, desperate industry, and that squeeze is largely brought on by this AI boom. And even if these discs don't officially die till 2028, it feels like the beginning of the end is now, with GTA 6, maybe the biggest game launch in history. But the only physical thing about the physical edition is a download code, at which point they might as well just be digital only. And Nintendo...
I hate him for that. I hate him because I read that and it's now ringing in my head. I hate him for that. Why? Why would you do that to people? But yeah, GTA 6 is pretty much leading the charge in an all-digital future. And now you're seeing Square Enix coming out saying, hey, 90% of our, income has been from digital games. And then you look at their games and you go, right, well, Final Fantasy was released digitally on Xbox. All your games on Xbox, in fact, are released digitally. You don't have a physical rendition of it. A bunch of games that are now released on Switch are digital only. Like, when you're releasing 40% of your catalog as digital only, are you really surprised that 90% of your revenue is all digital? Like, I get these companies are coming out now and saying, oh, 90% of our, purchases are all digital. Well, maybe because all your games that you're selling, like 40% of them are all digital and only available digitally. If you remove those games and only do it based on games that are physically available as well, that percentage is going to look very different. And that's the number that they should be showing. But that doesn't work to their advantage, you see. What works to their advantage is looking at the polluted and not so accurate numbers. Now they do. There's still a market there for physical gamers. It's not as popular as it used to be, but there is still a demand for physical games.
Too, because their game cartridges rely on the same type of flash memory that's rocketing up in price, publishers on Switch 2 are increasingly shipping dataless game key cards. Like Elden Ring, it's a cartridge in a box that doesn't actually have the game on the cartridge, just a key that downloads it. So when you put it in, you're...
I found a solution to that, and it's basically me that lost out in the end. But I bought a memory card for my Switch 2. I downloaded the game onto my memory card, and now my memory card has that game, so I don't ever need to download it again. And then Nintendo told me they're shutting the store. I got those games on a memory card for life until my memory card dies, and then I don't have nothing. But until then, I got it on memory card.
You're the one who has to download it, and you're the one using up your internal storage instead of theirs. And the fourth lever that these companies...
But I get it. I'm using up my money, my storage. Shut up.
...can use to recoup their costs. The darkest one I'm getting to. But for the time being, can you see how it's already getting more expensive and just worse to be a console gamer? This is even leading to some insiders claiming that while Sony originally planned to launch PS6 in 2027, that it has now been delayed to 2028 or later. And whichever way this turns out, there is absolutely no doubt that we're about to see slower progress in games becoming next generation. And there's even a supposedly claiming that the next gen consoles will ship with less RAM than originally planned and a lower speed bandwidth, as if there weren't...
This might actually be the article I read. But yeah, they're going from 30 gig potentially down to 24 gig and lowering the speed of the bandwidth. They're basically all these specs that you've been seeing from MLID and Kelper and whatnot. It looks like they're potentially going to downgrade just to try and see if they can keep the prices low. And at that point, when you're impairing the machine so badly, like, what are we even doing at this point? Like, why even bother? Why even bother releasing the next gen consoles if you're releasing a watered down version of what you want to release?
Already enough reasons to be concerned about them. I was originally wondering, one upside of AI is
I'm
that
a fan of pollution.
maybe you don't
No.
need that new hardware. We've already seen with Nvidia's DLSS 5 tech that AI has the ability to massively upscale the resolution of games, make them run smoother, and even improve the lighting in real time. But alas, most of this tech can only run on new compatible AI hardware, which the current gen consoles are just not. Unfortunately, it's not just gaming companies and gaming consumers who are losing out in this spiral, because the final lever that brands like Sony and Xbox are going to have to pull is cost cutting. Like I mentioned, Xbox has actually divested 5 big game studios, including the people behind massively popular titles like Hellblade and Psychonauts, and in the process also axed around 3,200 jobs. This is one company's one set of layoffs, and still it means 3,200 potentially talented level designers, graphic designers, voiceover artists who were previously working on the next generation of games, who there's a very good chance are just not anymore. Keyword talented. Reportedly, the layoffs even include around half of the team at id Software, the studio that basically invented the first-person shooter with Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, and more. Now, imagine if on top of everything else, the higher prices, the dirtier tactics, the reduced focus on next generation, that we also start getting fewer big-budget games too, because there's fewer people to make them. From an industry trade analysis in May 2026, a higher hardware entry price changes the shape of the next install base cohort and feeds directly into the lifetime value assumptions that justify a green light decision at the publisher level. Or, in English, publishers decide whether to make a game based on projections of how many consoles are going to exist in the future to sell it to. This memory price surge has reduced the future projected install base, which means that games are being killed at the pitch stage right now because of RAM prices, and we're not even ever going to know which ones. And I think there's a very good chance that this also affects the innovation in games, because doing new things is a risk. When projected install bases shrink,
and this is exactly what I was saying. Hey, this is exactly what I was saying earlier, right? Taking risks is a big risk in this day and age, because if the risk doesn't pan out, bye-bye studio. You're only as good as your last game. And so companies now aren't prepared to take risks. They're not prepared to make the Viva Pinatas or the Loco Rocos and stuff like that. They're just not prepared to do that, because if they screw up and they fail, well, they're gone. And what he was saying earlier about pitches dying at the inception stage, well, yeah, because there's not enough. The potential for next generation consoles in sales is just not high enough.
It means that the threshold for something to become greenlit is going to become tighter. So the games that make it through that are increasingly going to be those easy, safe wins. Games like the new Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, a beloved 13-year-old game that's been rebuilt cheaply, targeted at hardware people already own, and absolutely filled to the brim with in-game monetization. Or for another
Banish is so proud of that.
Recently reported that Obsidian, one of the other top game devs, they're ending work on a new unannounced RPG game to work on the next iteration of Fallout, the safe, known entity. These are dark times for video games. I mean, EA is even going all out right now on trying to create a new standard for how in-game advertising works. And they're not scaling them back. They're actually building a platform that would let advertisers in almost real time buy ads that will then appear onto billboards and objects that you will see while trying to play your games. Now, you would hope that there will be limitations on what can be advertised where, but I am horrified by the idea of dropping the big bucks on Ghosts of Yotei, being knee-deep in feudal Japan, katana drawn, cherry blossoms falling, only to turn around and see a giant sign for car insurance discounts. And even if it doesn't go that far, think about it.
Well, chat, how would you feel if you saw that in your game?
Cherry blossoms falling, only to turn around and see
What would be your reaction? That'd be hella funny, but I wouldn't be okay with it. Appalling, but funny. Oh. Is that a useless looking katana? I knew Banisher would appear out of the woodworks the moment he saw Black Flag, which is actually an amazing game. If you listen to people saying it's a bad game, the remake is actually fantastic. Definitely worth playing. It got my seal of approval. I loved every moment of me playing it. You should definitely check it out. Man, I remember the Ford Mondeo. They discontinued those, didn't they? They're long gone.
a giant sign for car insurance discounts. And even if it doesn't go that far, think about it. As soon as there becomes a monetary incentive to show gamers adverts, how could that not start to change how game worlds are designed, and even what types of games are made, and how permanently online they need to be connected? Now, a lot of the issues that we've talked about, game publishers getting greedier, the layoffs, has been happening already in the background for years. I mean, especially after COVID, when companies realized that they couldn't sustain the revenues that they had when all we were allowed to do was basically play video games. So they've been finding all sorts of ways to recoup those costs, both in-game and also by culling employees. You're fired! Point being, the fire was already lit, but the AI crisis stacked on top of this already strained industry is like the fire brigade showing up with cans of petrol. The problems are now accelerating so fast that, yes, there's still a possibility that the memory crisis suddenly starts to ease. I hope it does. It is possible that this AI bubble, that some people are calling it, does just pop entirely. But the worrying thing is, if they don't, how much more can console and game prices keep going up and demand keep going down before this entire business model for a games console as we know it becomes unviable? I don't think very long at all.
I think we're pretty much at the precipice for that right now. I think the next generation consoles releasing them has a huge risk, because if they crash and burn and don't sell at all, I think that's a speed run to the final generation of consoles. It's possible, Sappho, but you need to find the exact same memory, and then you need to make sure that the actual connections are actually there. It's not as simple as it may sound. This is all because GTA 6 went all digital and Sony PlayStation took... I mean, Ogun Remy, the whole GTA 6 going digital and Sony making the announcement that they're going digital in 2028, that was orchestrated together. That was planned. It wasn't one deciding over the other. This was something that they kind of got together and agreed upon. GTA was always probably going to go digital because of the sheer cost of the game, and so they don't want to lose any money to retailers. And as soon as Sony found out, they said, right, we're gonna, keep quiet until you're ready to post live. But I do believe that, both parties were in talks about this on when to reveal the news. Welcome to the stream, though. Alright, you're new here, I assume? So, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it. But I can't imagine that they were working independently. These companies always talk, and I think Sony knew that the backlash was going to be massive. But with the they announced GTA, pre-orders are open, drop the bomb now. Can you imagine what the backlash would have been if GTA 6 didn't announce their pre-orders and Sony just came out on its own on a Tuesday and said, right, we're going all digital? The pushback would have been way worse. This whole thing was planned to soften the blow for Sony. That's it.
AI industry carries on doing what it's doing, then there's one of three things I could see happening, and I don't think any of them are good news. One, cloud gaming, like Nvidia's GeForce Now, becoming a more popular alternative, so that Nvidia can rent us the graphics card we can no longer afford to buy and own, and we can stream games from their servers for a monthly fee forever. And this isn't conjecture, the service is growing, racking up 30 million registered users, with industry analysis actually citing the hardware scarcity from this memory crisis as one of the big three drivers of that. 30 million is a huge amount of people. Not an entirely fair comparison, but that's basically the same number of people that have bought the current gen Xbox Series S and X combined. And what makes this so depressing that it's almost funny, Nvidia just this January has enforced a 100-hour a month playtime cap on paid GeForce Now accounts. Obviously that's not going to affect every user, but it paints quite the picture of what the world could look like when you don't own your hardware. The second thing I could see happening is older classic games become...
Can you imagine? You're playing through, you're on a boss, and you're like, right, that's it, this is the final stretch. The boss is at 10%. It's staggered. You're going in for the kill, and then dung dung, you get an error message. Sorry, you've run out of playtime. The servers are shutting down. Man, imagine something like that on like Elden Ring. You're literally on the final boss of Elden Ring. You've staggered the boss, it's down. All it needs is that one hit. You jump up into the air, you're about to drop the slam dunk, and it's like, error message. You've run out of playtime, servers shutting down. Doo-doo-doo-doo. That's what Nvidia has now created, and unfortunately it's not good. There is no need for an arbitrary playtime. The average person isn't going to hit 100 hours. That's fair. So why are you punishing the heavy users? Right? The majority of the people are not hitting anywhere near 100. So the people that do hit it are few and far between. Why are they being punished? But Nvidia's turned around and said that they don't want those heavy users as their customers. They're happy for the casuals that spend 1 hour a week in cloud gaming because they get to milk them more.
I mean, not just something that...
Time for the Filipino hammer. Hey Shinzo, how's it going? Now everyone will have to have an internet provider to access your games. Pretty much, Remy. Pretty much. Yeah, that would be the end for me. Mind you, I don't think I would even get to that point if it's streaming only.
You revisit because you fancy a bit of nostalgia, but something that you settle for because it's a whole lot more affordable. We've already started to see this on PC, where the majority of all PC playtime now goes towards games that are over 6 years old. And a recent survey from Tom's Hardware, a publication that's only really going to be read by PC enthusiasts, finding that 60% of their readers won't be upgrading any hardware for at least the next 2 years. And then the third situation is mobile gaming becoming more of a default. See, all tech is getting more expensive, right?
That was
PCs,
Honkai Impact.
consoles, and that includes smartphones too. But people are still going to buy a smartphone because it's considered much more of an essential than a games console. So if the user base of the smartphone remains steady, and if anything continues to rise, while the pool of people who can keep up with the increasing costs and difficulties of being a console or PC gamer falls, of course I could see a situation where developers are much more incentivized to
What
put
the
their
hell
eggs
is this?
into the mobile basket. Am I happy about that? Hell no. Console games are held to a certain standard that mobile games just aren't. And it's not like you can just make console games and then put them on mobile. This has been tested time and time again. Resident Evil 4, Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and commercial.
Cepho, 100%, man. 100%. I think that that's exactly what they're doing. And they're crippling the industry. It's one of the reasons why I kind of just want to get 5080 and be done with it, and then I don't have to worry about anything for a good number of years. I'd love to get a 5090, but at the prices that they are at now, there's zero chance I can afford it.
They largely flopped. They cost near console money, and barely anyone bought them, because mobile gaming rewards free-to-play, battle passes, and in-game currencies, and adverts.
Hey man, I do care about the adverts, but the rest of it is fine. I do like my gacha. I spend way too much on gacha.
So the future that I'm worried about is not your favorite console game, but smaller on a phone.
It's not good how much I spend.
This entire industry where the only economically sane thing for a game dev to do is to build endlessly monetized free-to-play machines. Games that are not designed around spectacle and hardware-pushing experiences because no one has the hardware, and instead are all about just reusing safe IPs that have worked before, remaster after remaster, made by fewer and fewer people. And it's about what we lose on the way, from the games that you can no longer borrow from your friends, to the graphics cards that you might have to borrow from your not friends. The industry will find a way to claw its money back from the one group of people who can't pass that cost on. That's us. I'm a console gamer at heart, but I've actually noticed myself becoming more of a mobile gamer these last few months. I'm currently playing a ton of Pokemon Champions on my phone instead of the Switch, and even my second favorite franchise, Monster Hunter, their next game is mobile only, and it's just created yet another reason why Surfshark VPN, our sponsor, has a permanent place in my control center. Because the moment that your gaming moves to your phone, your gaming moves to the internet, full time. You're playing on cafe Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi, airport Wi-Fi, and every one of those networks.
That
is a
segue
vulnerability.
was slick.
So the fact that I can just single tap here and know,
not gonna lie,
account login, every payment detail is all encrypted before it leaves my phone is a massive peace of mind. Especially since the rise of AI is actually making it much easier for scammers to use that info. Entire gaming industry. Surfshark's price is still as low as it gets. With the code BOSS, it's $2 a month for an unlimited number of users.
So, what do you think? Yeah, that segue was insane. I gotta give him props to that. Linus would be proud. Did you see that they are taking down Alien Fireteam on Switch streaming a game? Yeah, I did. And they're not refunding anyone either. That's crazy. I saw a 58 for 1200. I was so tempted to until I realized I don't have the hardware to even turn it on. See, in my PC right now, I've got a 9950X 3D. I got a 64GB DDR5 RAM. I got a very good motherboard. I got all the cooling. I got a great water cooler. I just need to upgrade my 3090 Ti. I'm only just missing the graphics card now on my PC, and I'm set for another 10 years. For me, it's about focus on what I can do, not worrying about what others do or did. I don't know. I thought that video was absolutely fantastic. It was a great video. It gives you a really good insight into what's going on. What did you guys think? Yeah, I've been slowly upgrading my PC, Remy, for about a year, just over a year now. Just buying bits and bobs where I find the sales and stuff like that. And I've just been upgrading slowly. I mean, Sappho, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, on Thursday I'm gonna play the video I'm gonna play on Thursday. Like I said, it's a bit long, but it's a really good one. How did Sega lose it all? It was so fascinating to see on how they managed to just crumble over the years. I never noticed that actually, but now that you mention it, it's true. Why is 4 and 5 not there? Is it because they're the least rated ones? Appreciate you, Remy. I stumbled across that video the other day, and I thought it was actually really good. So that's why I wanted to play it, because I feel like it's very relevant to what we're doing now. And instead of watching, you know, crappy fanboy videos where people are just saying stupid stuff, having something a bit more informative and insightful is actually a better way to spend our time. I mean, the emphasis on trilogy means that it's free. But Judgment isn't part of the trilogy either, though, is it? Judgment is there. Welcome back, Power Boss. Years pop, you know. So it looks like Big Walk. This is currently, I believe, on PS Plus. But it's sold 1 million copies. Man, I don't even understand how these games manage to sell so many in such a short time. It's clearly a PC, you know, game. I'll never understand why PC gamers go crazy over stuff like this. Is it on Game Pass? I don't know if it's on Game Pass, but I think it's on PS Plus. And obviously, the majority of these million copies sold is from PC. But it does make me want to try it. At least watch my kid play it. I think he's going to buy it. It's a friend swap game, of course. And it's going to have its moment in the limelight. Just like Mecha Chameleon. Mecha Chameleon sold like, what, 15 million units? The authors made bank. And now no one really talks about Mecha Chameleon at all. It kind of died. It died before I even got a chance to play it. Hellos, was it you that had that problem? With that game, the 360 game? I said I was going to look into it for you. I think it was you. It may be going strong, but you don't. The hype for it is no longer there. Of course they're not PlayStation players. Don't be crazy. The ludicrousness of such actions. So, I've been told Ghost Recon Future Soldier freezing or failing to get past the title screen on Xbox Series X. You need to disconnect your console from the internet in the network settings before launching the game. Reach the main menu while offline and then reconnect to the internet and it will work. Yeah, you just pull the plug out of your network cable out of your Series X and try boot the game up. Apparently that will boot it up. And then once you've got to the title screen, you can plug it back in and it should work. Give that a try and let me know. And if it doesn't work, I'll let them know. But that's what they sent back to me. You see, I did follow it up for you. Some sad news, supermassive. We have made the difficult decision to begin a redundancy consultation process, which we anticipate will result in the loss of up to 75 of our colleagues. This is a necessary step to help ensure the sustainability of the company. We know this will be an incredibly difficult time for everyone, and our priority throughout the process will be to provide support to all those impacted. So, I think they made that directive game. It didn't sell. I guess it didn't do very well, and so they're out for the thing. Yeah, they just sent me a message saying Ghost Recon Future Soldier freezing or failing to get past the title screen on Xbox. I know your one doesn't boot entirely, but they said disconnect your console from the internet in the network settings, or just pull the plug essentially before launching the game. Reach the main menu while offline entirely and then reconnect. Having your system offline apparently allows it skips any form of handshake required. So give that a try, and if it doesn't work, let me know and I'll go back to them with it. But yeah, a bit sad. So I saw this, and this one was actually quite funny, because I guess the Steam Deck now is a PlayStation? they can start campaigning. This is a PlayStation. But an upcoming app will let Steam Deck, Linux, and Steam Machine users play PlayStation 5 games without owning the console. And obviously, this is possible right now. I was able to do it early last year, but that was kind of like through, I think, the web or something that we were doing it. I can't remember exactly. Either way, this is a dedicated app that you'll be able to get now, an upcoming app that will basically bypass everything and allow you to game on PS5 without a PS5 or a Portal. Directive 8020, that was the one. Bullets Kill. The game is a 360 game. They're not going to fix a 360 game. It wasn't designed to work on the Series X. So, to that, they're just going to turn around and say, go and buy an Xbox 360 and it'll work just fine. They're not going to go back and retrospectively fix something that probably isn't even a problem related to Ubisoft either. It's probably related to how the profile is being handled on the series machines. I mean, they're updating the games, but they're not going to fix a problem with the 360 games. Cool beans, tell us. Feel free to contact me through Discord, you know. I did try to reach out to you earlier, but I don't have you on Discord, so I wasn't able to reach out. This is interesting. So, McQuack here he plays on all formats, but he is a PlayStation fan. It's not digital versus physical, it's having multiple options for the consumer and keeping companies competitive. And so over here he shows the PlayStation version of Delta and how much it is for physical, and there's a clear difference in the price. But because he's asking for better, you know, better options and for physical media not to end, I don't get you Xbox fans. This guy has been a PlayStation fan for as long as I've known him. It's funny. The best criticism for what I say is, I don't get you Xbox fans. Like, immediately, if you talk bad about PlayStation in any way, shape, or form, you're an Xbox fan. They don't even care about competition or whatever. The fact that this guy's trying to make it better for gamers. Nah, all they care about is, you talk bad about my PlayStation, you're an Xbox fan. Raichi, not sure. But this seems to be a profile, for a 360 profile handling thing. You're all Xbox fan. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the PS5 Wolverine edition. I think it looked a little tacky, honestly. Is she going to sell it to you, Power Boss? Are you going to be the next Dreamcast guy? Oh. Oh, man. Alan Wake 2 has sold over 3 million copies, which is amazing according to the Remedy financial support, which is great. Maybe now they can finally start making some profit. What do you mean, undeserved? People don't know what they're talking about. The final bit of news I have for today is 10 years. 10 years! So many emotions, you guys, but mostly thank you. It's crazy to believe that No Man's Sky, which launched as in the most broken state it could ever be, all the promises that they had failed to deliver. And yet, 10 years on, they stuck by it and built it, and they delivered. And now they have their new expansion, I believe, is called Cosmos. PlayStation fans don't want competition. They want a platform below them so they can feel... Pretty much. I would say that 25 years should cost it. Thank God it didn't. Man. But, you know, it does raise the question, right? Like, where are we heading in this industry at the moment? Like, where are we heading? If next generation consoles are going to be $1,200-$1,400 each, the pickup, you know, the rate at which people are going to buy them is not going to be great. Which means the next generation games that are going to be made are prioritizing the current gen. Is there any reason, like, what's the point of next gen if the child, you know, even this generation, they've been making games for the previous generation for God knows how long. I think it was pretty much at the start of this year when they finally started prioritizing not releasing games for the Xbox One and the PS4. Although I still see games trickling onto there as new games. So how long are games going to be cross-gen? Banisher, that just seems like the most logical move, right? And it's going to be the same with the Series X. Like, who in their right mind in this economy is going to go and pay $1,400 or $1,200 for a console? But the problem is, the prices don't seem to be going down, they seem to be going up. And if this generation is anything to go by, and if that current trend continues, the cheapest time to buy the next generation consoles, the Helix or the PS6, is going to be at launch. Or you gamble having to pay more. Like, in one way, I want there to be a next generation console. I've been pushing for this for a long time. But the more I think about it, it just feels like it's counterintuitive. We're not going to be utilizing the hardware. Because publishers and studios are going to be making games for where the money is. And that is the PS5 and the Series X. I just think next generation consoles are cooked before they even launch. And it's sad. You've got Xbox trying to hype up the next generation Xbox, and in November it's like the perfect time for them to unveil the next generation Xbox. But I feel like things just aren't... Things aren't going great. And I feel like the amount of people that are going to adopt the next generation, you know, consoles is going to be a thing. From what I understand, we've got the Tokyo Game Show coming up. We've got Gamescom coming up. Then it's pretty much... Opening Night Live is, I think, Gamescom. Then you've got the Tokyo Game Show, which I don't think there's actually a showcase there. Then the next one is on December the 10th, the Game Awards. I don't think there's anything else planned in between. And then we go into January, where we have the Dev Direct. Oh, Helix is definitely getting unveiled on November the 15th, I think. I think that's the anniversary of Xbox in the US. Or was it on the 12th? I can't remember when. It was somewhere around there. But that's when we're going to see the Helix. I think they're going to unveil it. At least, not the actual. They're not going to take it out physically, but I think we're going to get a CGI rendition of it. Don't release new houses? You mean new consoles? All of those updates, man. No Man's Sky has been through a plethora of changes and updates. But to imagine where it is now with all the fixes and all the game and everything else, and it's just a one-time purchase with no microtransactions at all. It's crazy that they're still managing to push out content. Are we finally? Probably not. Probably not, Rachie. I don't see it, tell us. I don't see it. What they will do is they'll announce a sweepstake for a Gears of War limited edition console. They'll have one that is going to go out to in the rest of the world. $10, man. 10 amazing years. Good for them. It'll be interesting to see what they're gonna do. That's my thoughts on that. It is getting more and more interesting. Apparently, Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes are still in development and being published by Rockstar Games. For those interested in the Max Payne games. Two pixels at a time. Years in development? Are we talking Beyond Good and Evil 2 years, or are we just talking generic years? But folks, that's all I've got for today. Like I said, other videos are going to take... The Sega one that I have is like 40 minutes, so we'll save that one for Thursday, I think, because it's a fantastic video. Definitely worth watching. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you liked the new overlay, which is quite nice. It was built by my son. And yeah, hopefully I'll be around tomorrow with some more Beast of Reincarnation over at Twitch. So for those of you that want to hang out over there, feel free to come and stop by. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Thursday or in another video. It's been awesome, folks. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next one. As always, peace out. And good night. The whole team died of old age. What the hell, Rachie? Take it easy, folks.